So what I'm trying to say is, although I didn't pay for that experience, I did pay with my time. But the best thing is that because I'm trying to learn, I didn't actually pay anything because that's what I had to do to learn the business anyways. So not only did I get to create a relationship with him as my mentor to teach me stuff, but I got to really do some on-the-job training.
In an uncommon state of mind where we debate different ways to leverage your next investment to create time freedom, legacy impact, and generational wealth in order to live that uncommon life. But in order to do that, you must be uncommon. My name is Joey, aka Mr. J Mays.
Hey, and I'm A.D., also known as A.D. the Fly Realtor.
Dope. So today, we're gonna have a nice little debate on a specific topic that, as you're getting ready to invest, you kind of need to know, like, okay, you're getting ready to invest in whatever, you know what I'm saying, real estate or not. Should you go ahead and look into getting a mentor, or should you go and buy a course instead? You know what I mean? Of course, there's pros and cons in both. Me and AD both have experience on both sides, and we thought, like, you know what, this might be a good topic for us to kind of discuss.
Definitely. And one thing that's really cool about this topic is that it's not only in regards to investing, but this is really about personal growth. So really, because there are those who experience growth, via a mentor, and then there's those who experience growth via a course or of some sort. So it's really like just unlocking that next level of yourself. What is the best way for you to do that?
Right. So we have a couple of topics to discuss here, but before we do, how was the drive, my brother?
The drive was cool, man. It was a cool drive. We took last week off, right? So it was cool coming back. I was excited to come shoot today, come see my boy. No traffic, no traffic. The dogs they did their thing when I got here, but outside of that, no tripping. I'm not tripping at all.
And today's also, well, we know that tomorrow, Lakers play,
Yeah, game one of the playoffs. Oh, yeah, man. Yeah, I'm optimistic, but I'm scared to be optimistic. So, you know what? Here's to the Lakers.
Hey, here's another run. Okay, cool. So once again, our topic today is, mentorship versus courses, especially if you're looking to up your level of education and knowledge in order to get into whatever profession or skill that you want to hop into. And we're gonna really just talk about three main topics within this category. One being cost, availability, and then network. Yeah, so I have a quick story. Like, I had a situation where we had these meetup groups with people who I feel like were mentors, but after a while, these groups just stopped meeting up. At the end of the day, like, and I'm sitting here like, oh snaps, like, you just kind of sit there lost for a second because you were so used to having somebody that you looked up to as a mentor to kind of teach you the way, but all of a sudden they're gone and you're just off to fend for yourself. So what I found more effective was actually paying for courses. I just found it way more effective because I feel like I have more control over that. One of the points that I brought up is the fact that, when you pay for a course, they have more incentive for you to succeed. You know what I'm saying? Because most companies that offer courses and different ways to learn, in a paid version, you have an opportunity to leave a review on that business. They want you to be successful, especially because not only can you leave a review, but in order for that company or business's courses to continue to acquire clients, they want to see success within their program.
To a degree. There's all kind of asterisks in everything you just said.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, most definitely. Because raise your hand if you've ever been to a seminar where they promise to teach you the secrets of the world for the small fee of $10,000. Like, so you know what I mean? Like they have, like they get enough guys who are able to fool you, or maybe they are actually successful. Maybe they have actually done what they said they're talking about. But I've seen a lot of scenarios in which, in order to attain what they're telling you to through their course, is miles and miles more difficult than what they're presenting to you when you need to buy. You know what I mean?
Okay. Well, what I also say to that is that after you put down the payment for whatever courses that you have, not only do they have the duty to you, but you have a duty to the money that you put down. Because once again, like, how many people have said, since you want to raise hands, how many people have said they were going to do or say or do a specific task, but, over time they just stop, you know what I'm saying, for whatever reason there is. Once you put money down and actually put some financial backing behind what you say, you have a little bit more like, okay, I can't let this money go to waste, especially people who are like a little frugal, which is me. If I put money down for a course, I'm like, nah, bro, I'm going to get on ever so.
Right. Whatever kind of nuggets in there they got, I'm getting them.
Yeah.
No, I feel you. I get you. I really do. You see, for me, as far as gaining my mentor, so the way I gained my mentor was actually when I first got my real estate license. I'm going to take you a little back, not too far back, just a few years ago. But when I first got my real estate license, I signed up with a huge brokerage, one of the major brokerages in America. If I say the name, I'm sure you've heard of them. When I signed up with them, they actually set you up with a mentor. So we kind of met that way, but the thing is, I didn't do anything because I never really gained a relationship with him. So kind of went cold for a little bit. And then one day he hit me up and was like, oh, what are you up to? What are you doing? I just so happened to be at a point where I'm able to take on more responsibilities in real estate. And he had me make calls for him. I was cold calling people, and this was my first time ever cold calling. I learned a lot very quickly, but the cool thing is I was providing value to him. So I didn't actually have to pay him. I provided value to him, and he actually became my real mentor, not just my mentor on paper because of Keller Williams. So because I was adding value to him, he thus and such wanted me to learn more and at a fast rate too. So he taught me as much as he could teach me in as quick a time as he could. And the best part is at that time, he was in the process of starting his own brokerage. So when he did eventually start that brokerage, who was the first guy he took with him? Myself. I'll raise a hand. He took me with him because I was adding value to him. I was helping him with his deals. I was learning how to get my own deals. So what I'm trying to say is, although I didn't pay for that experience, I did pay with my time. But the best thing is that because I'm trying to learn, I didn't actually pay anything because that's what I had to do to learn the business anyways. So not only did I get to create a relationship with him as my mentor to teach me stuff, but I got to really do some on-the-job training. You know what I mean? And that was very beneficial for me in my journey.
Okay. No, that's awesome. I mean, especially, but the thing is, within like real estate, I feel like it's almost like a given. Like they have to set you up with somebody in order to kind of learn within that space of like real estate.
Well, see, the thing is,
License.
well, getting your license, no, you don't have a coach to get your license. Well, I guess there's ways you can get a coach but like myself, and I know most people who have real estate licenses, they didn't have a coach for getting the license part. That's kind of on your own. Go study, Quizlet, whatever you got to do to pass the test. But as far as learning,
hold on real quick. That was a gem. If you're if you're gonna go get your license, Quizlet.
Hey, Quizlet, whatever year you're in, whatever state you're in and say real estate exam, and just memorize those, because it's going to be very similar to what you're going to see when you go in there. Okay. All right.
But no, but what about professions that you're not really set up for anybody to kind of mentor you right away? Like there's a couple of, like you said, like real estate, they usually set you up with somebody to kind of help you mentor. Like I would say like life insurance and insurance, you're kind of set up with somebody. But when it comes to these other things where you want to be kind of self-sufficient, or you want to kind of own your own business, to find a mentor who's just willing to teach you without paying for it is really difficult. So, I mean, instead of like scouring the internet or scouring these groups, you can pay for something and know that they have a duty to teach you. You know what I'm saying? They have a duty for your success in learning this new skill that you're trying to acquire.
In a way, I get you, but they don't actually have a duty to that. What they have a duty to, we keep saying duty, what they're required to do is what they said they would do. And what you do is completely up to you. That's why we have these situations where you pay into something and certain people may not get the results they wanted, but a lot of the time they have to look inward. It's not the people giving them the information, it's because of them. The cool thing about a mentor, especially in the way that I acquired mine, was by providing value to him. And no, not everybody in real estate has a mentor. That brokerage happened to set me up with him. But like I said, that relationship actually fell through. So he wasn't my mentor. He was just some other person. And I wasn't doing anything with my license until we reconnected. But the dope thing about having someone you add value to is that, like I said, they have a vested interest in your success and in your education. So that means it's time for them to use the knowledge they've acquired throughout their journey and start giving some of that to you. So it really accelerates your path to success, instead of having to refer back to a course, this inanimate object, that they don't care how well you do, because all they really need are those few testimonials. But they're not going to tell you the testimonials of the people who, oh, I took this course and it didn't work out.
Well, I mean, at the same time, you understanding that you're getting a course, you have to have some sort of level of self efficacy, or you need to be self-reliant in some way.
Yeah.
So to even go down that route, you need to be a little bit more self-reliant. But to kind of rebut what you said is, so what if you stop adding value to that mentor? Like, what if there's a scenario where you're no longer adding as much value, or they find somebody who could add more value than you? All of a sudden, is that relationship in jeopardy? In most cases, maybe not, but it possibly can be.
Well, that goes back to what you just said about the courses, where you have to have some level of self-efficacy where you decide, I'm going to continuously add value to this person. Because at the end of the day, what would you do at your job? How anything that you don't nurture, you lose it, it's gone. So you have to continue to be in a state where, okay, I'm going to continue to be my best self and continue to add value, because that's the only way you can end up receiving. The only way is like you have to give first, and then that's how you get back afterward. You either give in your time and your money, whatever it may be, you have to give, and then that's how you get something back for that.
Okay, there's more that we can discuss on this. I think it's good that we go ahead and move on to our second topic in this debate, which is availability. I feel like availability is extremely important in regards to learning a new skill and having somebody to guide you, or not just somebody, but something in regards to and that something in my regard is being a course. Because when we think about this, having a mentor, there's going to be times where their availability doesn't match up with yours. There's going to be times where whatever scenario or aspect in their life is causing them to kind of draw away from you while you're ready to learn. There's nothing that you can do about that. Whereas if you get a course, everything's at your fingertips. You know what I mean? Like, Everything is there for you to progress yourself. No, on the days that you have a little bit, you have maybe 15, 20 minutes of time, you can just really hop onto your course, learn as much as you can within whatever segment or whatever segment you are in that course, and then go back about your day. Whereas, like I said, with mentors, you have to, your schedules always have to align. You know what I mean?
I get where you're coming from to a degree. I think for the most part though, once you learn the flow of your mentor, you know when is a good time to contact them, what amount of time I should be expecting something in, or a response back from them in, so first of all, I think that kind of just flows naturally where you just kind of start to understand the best way to communicate with your mentor as well. But then also in regards to that, there are certain things that your mentor is able to tell you in an instant that a course will just never be able to tell you. A lot of courses can't capture all of the intricacies of whatever subject they're teaching. You know what I mean? And there's certain things that you would have never even thought to ask it or that it would even be in the course, but it pops up. You know what I mean? And though for situations like that, that's when it's really ideal to have that mentor.
Well, to rebut what you said is, the thing is, in regards to just the structure of how lessons are planned out, you know what I mean? Like, that's something that a mentor can't necessarily do. You know what I mean? Like, I could sit back and look at a specific segment, know that I need to go over it. And even if I do have questions, I know that in this section I have a question, whereas in real life with a mentor, you're kind of learning on the fly. You know what I'm saying? Like, when a scenario comes up, you're like, okay, let me learn this. And that,
I wouldn't say it's quite like that because with my mentor specifically, the way it is he kind of gives me an idea of what to expect before I even get to that level. So it's like I kind of know what I'm looking out for, and then you start to engage in that. Or he's even coached me on how to have a conversation with another agent or another realtor, or he'll let me know a negotiating tactic I should take on. So things like that is where in the moment, like if I had no mentor, I would probably either learn in the middle of the phone call or after the phone call after I lost. You know what I mean? But with him, like I learned certain methods and ways to go about it beforehand. So although it's not the same as having read it, it's more of a when I get to that level, that's when I begin to gain that knowledge for that particular task or subject.
okay, so how about you're about to make that phone call, but instead of, waiting till that phone call is over or doing it before, you always have a reference point on how you should communicate with that during that phone call, and always being able to go back to it and be like, oh dang, I forgot. Like, let me go back to it and let me rewatch this so that I can go back to this phone call or for my next phone call and understand it. Whereas you kind of have to depend on your own note taking strategies and your own, however you store information personally, in order to kind of remember that. You know what I'm saying? And whether you have a mentor or you have a course, you take decent notes. But when you have a course, you can always have something to go back to. You know what I mean? That's already set up for you.
I guess I understand what you're saying, but for me, it's just I still feel that having somebody I can actually go to and they know how to cater what I need to do and or say to my personality is just more beneficial. Where I've had instances where my mentor would be like, okay, this is what you're going to go to him and say, and you're going to have to come at him in this way or that way. And he'll be like, is that something you're comfortable with? Is that something you can do? You know what I mean? And I go from there and I'm like, okay, I can do it. Or just even just hearing an example of how to go about something or what I'm going to look out for in any particular deal or whatever we may be working on. Right now, we're working on our system. So if it's like, okay, so the systems we're trying to create are for a finished product. And so, it just helps me go about it in a way that I'm like, okay, I know this is what we're trying to get, but it might be things I didn't even think about, but it's because my mentor, is already further ahead of me in that journey of success. He already sees things ahead of me that I know I need to prepare for.
Right. So the next thing that I'll say within this subcategory of availability is, say that there are times where you do need to cut away. You know what I'm saying? And you need to do something for the next 3 or 4 months. Maybe you just had a family issue or whatever life throws at you. When it comes to having an actual mentor, 3 or 4 months away, that could really hurt your relationship with your mentor. During that time, they could find somebody else who's knocking out that job. During that time, you know what I mean? Like, who knows what could happen? You know what I mean? When you have a course, you take that time away, but since you bought it, you know what I'm saying? And B, the availability is always there. You can always come back to it whenever you want, like 3 or 4 months later, like, okay, let me go ahead and finish this. I've dealt with this situation now. Let me go ahead and finish this. That's something that's invaluable. You know what I mean?
I get it's cool, but then I feel that also gives you a way to just keep procrastinating. And that's why so many people who buy courses end up procrastinating, because they don't have anyone that is relying on them. I've heard someone say that it's real easy to let yourself down. What's harder to do is let other people down.
Agree.
So with the course, you're only letting yourself down. So it's like, all right, like I'll write it out. But when you have somebody who's relying on you for certain outcomes, that you're also relying on them for your own personal outcomes, then now it's not just yourself. You have a duty to somebody else too. And it goes back to that topic of self-efficacy. If you have belief in yourself and self-efficacy, you're going to maintain to the best of your ability. Everybody knows that sometimes life does come up. Have that conversation. Any reasonable person will understand if you're in situations where it's just too hard or too difficult for you to do what you agreed to adhere to. But outside of that, I feel like it's really easy to just get in a point with a specific person who, they just help you on that course, on that journey, and, you guys work together. You maintain that because you understand the value you get from it.
Yeah, so even with that, like, during that time, even if your mentor does understand that, you know what I'm saying? There's going to be lessons and things that you are going to miss of being away from that mentor, regardless if they understand your situation or not. You know what I'm saying? The ability to come back to something, and self-efficacy is huge. We understand that, and of course, you're going to have to have some sort of that in order to be on either side. But when you have to deal with something serious and with a mentor, you know what I'm saying, you will miss lessons regardless.
You keep saying lessons, like, it's not, that's the thing with a mentor, it's not a curriculum. It's not I'm going through the school year and I missed school, so now I missed that lesson for the day. Like, there's no lessons to miss, because if you're away from the game, then you miss what's going on in the game during that time. So when you come back to the game, you get it's not like you missed some time. So for me, for instance, if I stop looking for deals for any amount of time, it's not like when I come back to looking for deals, oh, you missed all these lessons. It's carry on from where you were.
So, okay, it's carry on from where you were. I understand that. But what I'm saying is, if your mentor was working on like maybe a multi-property, maybe a hotel deal, and during that time you missed
that just means you're irresponsible then, because what would you do if you were in college or if you had a job?
You're missing the point.
Wait, same thing. Like,
so you had a situation in life that's taking you away.
This is so drastic, though. This is so drastic because, okay, if something really matters to you and something is really important to you, how often do you just take, I just had a son and I didn't take 3 or 4 months off of anything. You know what I'm saying? I didn't take 3 or 4 months off of working. I didn't take 3 or 4 months off of loving my wife. I didn't take 3 or 4 months off of spending time with the family I grew up with. Like, you can't take time off of the things that are important to you.
I just,
life happens to everybody.
There's circumstances. I've just talked to somebody the other day. They're like, oh yeah, me and my family, we're getting ready to do this. They have a whole bunch of land in Texas. They're getting ready to build a hotel on this land in Texas, but their brother has MS, and MS hit them hard, and he was the one handling all of the paperwork with the state, and so they decided to hold that off to make sure that their brother was able to regain his health, and they haven't ventured back to it yet because they're concerned.
This is so specific.
So I'm not just.
Let me tell you what's wrong with people who covet you and stuff like Joey is, because this is just an excuse for inactivity. Like, oh, but what if the meteor strikes it and hits in my backyard, and then because it hit in my backyard, now I gotta go get somebody to come repair it, and while they're repairing it, it's hard for me to study during the day because there's so much noise in my backyard. This is the problem with people who do this stuff. These shoulda, coulda, woulda things. Like, you can't live like that, like just worried about, oh, what if this and this happens? How many times have you personally taken 3 to 4 months off of something that's very important to you, that you have someone else relying on you?
So let me tell you this.
No, but answer my question. So how many times have you taken 3 to 4 months off of something where somebody in that is relying on you?
So let me say this. I understand that. Me personally, I'm a single man. I don't got too many people that, that are dependent on me like that. What I'm saying in that specific scenario, right? So in that scenario, all I'm trying to say is it's a possibility. And with that being a possibility, I'm saying if you have courses that you can, if you have 15, 20, 30 minutes to go ahead and hop on this course and advance your education instead of trying to match up with what are the ability of your mentor. Look, listen to me. So like you're dealing with a situation, you're trying to match up with the availability of your mentor to get information, but this is what I'm saying. It's a possibility.
You just wrapped this all the way back around.
Yes, because this is the point. The fact that you have courses set up that you can go back to at any point, you know what I'm saying? You don't miss any. You don't miss anything. Oh my
All
God.
right.
Okay.
All right, Joey. For sure, Joey.
I'm not even.
What? Let's just move on. Let's move on. All right. One thing that I thought was really cool about having my mentor, man, that was funny.
I'm done with you. Go ahead. That's something.
One thing for me that's really cool about having my mentor is that, so my mentor, he older than me. He's about 20 years older than me. I'm in my I'm 32, early 30s. He's like in his mid 50s or so. So the way we go about things is slightly different. So I actually network a lot on social media. It took me some time to learn how to do that because social media it's just not something that comes naturally to me, but now I'm really starting to hit my groove. So what I've been developing is a whole network of people through social media. But one thing that's cool is that not only do I have access to my network, I got access to his network. And his network are people who are more similar to him and where he's at in his life. So these are people who've been in my industry for several years already. So it's so cool that, okay, it's pretty much a cheat code for me. You know what I'm saying? Where it would have had to be in a situation where I have to Google or start trying to figure out who could be a good lender, who's a good this, who's a good that. How do I get a title person? How do I get access to titles? Things of that nature. Whereas with him, I just had easy go-tos because these are people he's vetted for the past, 25 years in real estate, where it would have taken me how long to get a solid list or group of people that I can access that we can do business together to, close these deals. So for me, I think that access to his network is just so beneficial. And I just don't feel like you have access to a network like that through courses. Like, tell me if I'm wrong, but I just don't feel like any course is just going to give you a real network.
So what I'll say to this is, usually the good, well-developed courses have Facebook groups. And within Facebook groups, the developer of the course will get on once a week and answer any questions that people who purchase the course have. So I have access to the person running the course, during that call. Usually it's once a week, maybe once or twice a week, and they'll hold that you get on and you can live chat and ask whatever question you want. On top of that, not only do I have access to the person who created the course, but I have access to the entire community within the course who are at where I'm at, or they've already achieved where I'm at and they're actually on the next level. So if my question can't reach the person who created the course, I could ask somebody within the community like, hey, how was this done? And I'll get a message back within a few minutes.
That's dope.
You know what I'm saying? Letting go.
Kind of that like cross networking. You know, okay, all right.
And I can network with them like, okay, well, we're here at the same point. Like, let's work together on this specific type of deal, or let's work together on this specific problem that we have within, you know, our niche. And that's been extremely beneficial.
Okay, so I got a question. So how often or how many times after the beginning period of these you know, relationships that you created, how long lasting are they?
They can last as long as you nurture them. For the most part, like, for the most part, you can add that person as a friend, especially in the Facebook group, and then you guys can kind of communicate via Facebook on the different issues. You can even get on calls together and watch courses together and like go through this together if you want to. You know what I'm saying? That's not hard to do. So you do build community and you do build networks within those communities, which I think is just as effective as actually having a mentor.
Okay. It's probably not just as effective, but I see how it works for you. I get how it works for you. So that is cool because I don't know if I've been part of a course that has things similar to that, but I guess I never fully accessed it in that way where I'm actually taking advantage of the ability to cross network, you know, and talk to other people, because that is something that's important. You know, oftentimes we all think about networking up, you know, networking with somebody who could put us on. But then if you think about it, where it's like, there's people who maybe at your level, but they're going to go on to do great things, like network across, and you guys could grow together. You'll come through for them one day, and one day they'll come through for you. Hey.
Like Uncle Sam.
There. Only I'm helping you. And Sam ain't helping nobody.
Okay. Let's go ahead and hit this recap. So for me, courses were I feel like they hit hard only because when it comes to costs, you know, you have to actually pay for this course, and that not only does that is that a responsibility to the company to kind of fulfill what they offer. They have to fulfill on the duties of what they offer, or whatever their offer is. But also for you actually putting down the money to get into this course, you know, you have an obligation to the cash that you put down, which could keep you more accountable to go ahead and finish through. When it comes to availability, it's at your fingertips. You know what I mean? Like whenever you're ready to study and whenever you're ready to learn more, you just hop on and learn more and not have to rely on the availability of your mentor. And then networking, you can always leverage the group who's in the same course as you, and you guys can communicate together on top of getting on those calls with if they do offer that, you know, hop on the courses, hop on the calls with the mentor, you know, weekly or bi-weekly or however they do it.
Yeah, for myself, you know, as far as costs go, I feel that the best way to get a mentor that cares about you and your growth is to actually find a way to provide value to them. So maybe not necessarily pay them, but find a way to help them get paid, if you know what I'm saying. And then the availability, you know, that just comes with how you nurture any relationship. You learn how to communicate with that person. Maybe you like to text more, and your mentor likes to get on the phone call more. You figure out when they like to get their phone calls, and you figure out, you know, what you got to do to make sure that keeps going. And then as far as network, you don't only have access to your network, that every entrepreneur, employee, whatever you are, everybody should be trying to develop their own network of people, that contacts they can go to. But also I have access to my mentor's network, which is very important, because my network might be a lot of people who are more similar to where I'm at in my journey, whereas his network are people who are more similar to where he's at. So they're further along too. So it's just so beneficial to me to have this mentor, and it really cuts the time to success.
That pretty much wraps up our episode for today, guys. You know, let us know in the comments who you agree with. Of course, you know what I mean?
It's capital A period, capital D period. All right. So when you want to
let us know who you really thought. Yeah, I mean, anyway.
Mentor.
Anyways, so quick thing, guys, for those of you who are serious about getting into business and serious about, maybe you already have a business idea that you want to really grasp and really get into and ready to start, it's very important to consider business credit and getting started with that instead of deploying your own personal cash that you saved up in a bank. I have an awesome link down below that I personally have used several times. I've gotten over $200,000 of business credit myself. I've launched a couple of different businesses. It will be down below. It's from Fund and Grow. Check out that link, click it, watch the video, and if it's for you, guys, it's an awesome resource.
Yeah, and you know what else? Uncommon is at the point where we're getting ready to start bringing on guests. So we're going to be doing interviews, having guests to drop some knowledge and wisdom on how they got in whatever related industry they're in. So if you know anybody, or if you yourself are somebody who you think should be on the show or who we should interview, go ahead and DM us at Uncommon Estate on our IG, whatever on social media, or email us info@uncommonestateofmind.com. All right, guys. Joey's going to hit us up with our B for today.
So our B for today is be teachable, okay? Be teachable, because whether you have a mentor or you're doing this or you're learning with a course, if you're not willing to learn, then you're not going anywhere. You're spinning your wheels. Be teachable, be able to absorb information and apply it. Most importantly, don't just receive it, but apply it, and try to apply it as soon as possible, guys, in order to get maximum results.
All right, you heard it right there. Be teachable, be you, and most importantly, be uncommon.
Till next time.